Welcome to Home Care Connection, a program brought to you by the Rutland Area Visiting Nurse Association and Hospice. This program is designed to provide you with health information and explain about the many services that are available to you through RAVNA in your home. RAVNA takes care of people right from birth through end of life. So many of you who are watching the show today will have either received services from RAVNA or know someone who has. Last year, our team of nurses, therapists, and home care aides made over 87,000 home visits to over 2,680 people. Today, we're going to talk with the folks who help children and their rehabilitation needs. The program is called Kids on the Move. Kids on the Move therapists work with children in their homes to ensure that every child reaches their maximum potential. On Home Care Connection today, we have two representatives from the Kids on the Move program to explain how the program works and also to talk to us about the services that they provide. Katrina Abatel, a physical therapist and program coordinator for Kids on the Move, and Jennifer Beers, a speech language therapist. Welcome.
Thank you.
Also, we have Michael Menolfi, a physical therapist from Vermont Sports Medicine Center, who's going to tell us about a road race, a popular fundraiser sponsored by Vermont Sports Medicine for the Kids on the Move program. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
We'll be talking to Michael about the race a little bit later in the show. To start with, why don't we start right sort of at the beginning and just give us a little bit of an overview of the Kids on the Move program.
Sure. Well, Kids on the Move is a program that was created in 1995 when the Vermont Achievement Center decided to discontinue all of their medically based services. And at the time that included rehab, physical, occupational, and speech therapy services. So in trying to figure out how we would still be able to meet the needs of the children in the community, representatives from Rutland Area Visiting Nurses and Rutland Regional Medical Center got together and put their heads together and created a program called Kids on the Move. So since 1995, that was a jointly owned program that was housed in the Vermont. We continued to be housed in the Vermont Achievement Center as tenants. And under that program, we were able to provide services both in the clinic as well as in children's homes.
Okay, and so who's sort of the basic population that the program serves?
We serve all children, starting at birth all the way up through age 21, depending on a medically based need.
Okay, and how do these children sort of come to be in the program?
They can come to us in a number of different ways. Generally, we get a referral from the child's primary care physician, his or her pediatrician. We also get referrals from specialists such as ear, nose, and throat physicians if a child is having some difficulty with speech and they've gone on to a specialist. We also get referrals from family members who have heard of our program, and they will make a call and ask about our services. We always follow up by getting that physician referral. We have to have a physician referral to start, but getting in the door sometimes comes from many different ways.
Okay, so then with respect to the Kids on the Move program and how we come to find the patients in the program that we serve, it happens very much the same way our home care, maybe our geriatric patients do. There has to be a medical need, and there is some kind of referral process that occurs, but there does have to be at some point a physician referral.
Correct.
Okay, great. So, what kind of therapists do we have on the Kids on the Move program?
We have physical therapists, occupational therapists, and speech language pathologists.
That's great. So you, both Jen and you, are therapists and deal with different conditions as a physical therapist and a speech language pathologist. Let's talk a little bit about what your role is actually as a therapist in the program and the types of kids that you work with and the sort of things that you hope to achieve, and then we'll talk to Jen.
Okay. Well, as a physical therapist, depending on the age of the child, you help address goals that are more working on their gross motor skills, and that may be, if I'm working with an infant, that may be helping that child learn how to roll, how to crawl, how to walk, how to go up and down stairs. With an older child, you're working on the developmental skills that are normal for that age population, which would be, again, maybe climbing stairs but carrying something in their hand, making sure that they can access all the parts of their home, getting in and out of the bathtub, climbing in and out of their car seats. So we look at the medical needs of that are necessary for that child to function in their home environment or in their surrounding environment. So not just in the house, but can they walk out on the grass? Can they climb playground equipment? And that's the role of the physical therapist.
Okay, so in that sense, then really it's about helping them. There's been some kind of developmental delay identified.
Yes, there's a lot of different conditions or diagnoses that we do work with, and it runs the gamut from children that have neuromuscular disorders such as cerebral palsy. Children sometimes just have low muscle tone, muscle weakness, developmental delays, but the bottom line is they haven't achieved those developmental skills that they need to be able to function.
And then as a physical therapist, you help them achieve goals that are probably derived from both sort of their age appropriate, but also I'm guessing there's some family input in this as well.
Correct. We always include the family when we look for, we can identify what the areas of need are, but the family has to tell us what their priorities are. What do they want us to work on?
Great. And so Jen, how is that different than other types of patients that you work with?
I see similar types of children. I do different things. As a speech-language pathologist, I'm looking at their skill not only in how they say their words, the speech aspect, but also the language aspect, how they understand and use their language to access their environment, answering questions, following directions, things of that nature, as well as also looking at the oral motor skills for feeding and swallowing.
Oh, okay.
So we cover a pretty broad range, and again, some of them are just developmental delays. Some of children often have chronic ear infections that can lead to a speech and/or language issue,
Sure.
as well as the children that are more severely involved with cerebral palsy or autism or some of those other more involved diagnoses. So.
Wow. So, and again, I'm guessing that there is an element of education in addition to plans of care in these programs. Is that fair?
Education is a huge piece of it. Our role as therapists is to help the child grow, but also to help the family know how to help that child grow. So teaching the family what they can do to make a difference in their child's life.
And that seems like it would be an important part of the processes involving the family, the caregivers in.
That's a huge piece of it. I go out for an hour a week or 2 hours a week to see a child. That family is with that child all day long, every day. Sure. Language and communication happens all the time. So if they can take those techniques and things that I've shown them during a therapy session and apply them the rest of the time, the child learns to use that skill much more functionally in a much quicker way than if it's just me trying to do it on my own.
So then the Kids on the Move program and the therapy services we provide this is not something where we're going to be with a child 5 days a week, 7 days a week, 5 or 6 hours a day. This is not sort of, is there, we sort of more intermittent, is that fair to say, or no, or is it, what is a typical?
Typically, we see a child, at least when we start out, once a week. Yeah. Some children that we identify as having greater needs, we may start out with twice a week. Usually that's the speech therapists that are doing twice a week. And then we start backing down those services. And as Jen said, a big part of what we're doing is giving those caregivers the tools they need to carry over what we're working on, so that we're not in there every day. We can't be in there every day,
Sure.
and we certainly don't want to be in there all their lives. You know,
Right.
we hope to give them the tools they need to move on.
So, you know, a lot of times when we talk about the programs that are available through RAVNA, one of the, I think, core concepts is always about independence for our patients. It's helping them get to a point of independence, restoring independence, or helping them achieve a level of independence, or in many cases, especially with our older patients, a level of prior performance. Obviously, in some cases, the prior performance part might not be there, but it sounds like independence is an important part of the work that we do in Kids on the Move as well.
Absolutely. Our role as therapists is to move a child to a developmentally appropriate place. Most of the time, we bring children in before the age of 3.
Mm-hmm.
The earlier they come in to see us, the better off we usually are. If we can see a child for the first couple of years at a pretty high frequency, then by the time they're 3 and can start receiving some of their services from school, we can work through that transition process into the school-based therapy services, and hopefully get them up to an age-appropriate level before they get into 1st and 2nd grade, and have them be much higher functioning through their school years, and require less services at school than they would have needed if they hadn't seen us in the first place.
Makes a lot of sense. So early intervention, especially in our Kids on the Move program, is an important part of how we work. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So then let's talk about that a little bit, if we could, because you had mentioned earlier that we get our patients through either physician and or a family member referrals. Are there mechanisms in place? Are people in tune to in the region for identifying when Kids on the Move services might be appropriate? And then can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, as far as, again, this early intervention thing, I'm guessing that's not sort of, or is it a fairly common thing that people are looking for opportunities for services like this?
Well, I think that the physicians in the area have gotten to know us pretty well, especially the pediatricians, the family practitioners, and support the early intervention premise that the sooner they get in, the better off they are. And we get a lot of referrals from the pediatricians and family practitioners for the early intervention. There's also a program called Children's Integrated Services, which is the federally mandated program for children 0 to 3, and we work very closely with them. And if they get in first into a child's home, they make contacts with us, to provide the services, the therapy services.
Okay.
So I think there's always the opportunity to improve,
Sure.
but I think that the doctors, they're on a pretty good place as far as making referrals early when they see the children. I mean, they oftentimes don't see a child, more than every 6 months.
Sure, that makes sense, right.
But when they come in for their well visits, that's where they might, a red flag might go up that
Right.
they say, maybe I'll make a referral.
We would much rather see a referral made on a child that maybe doesn't need service or maybe only needs a little bit of service, rather than wait. I'd rather do an evaluation on a child and say, hey, you know what, they're really doing okay, than to wait and hold off and miss a child that really had could have used that opportunity for earlier services. So refer early, refer often.
Absolutely. No, and I think that really does make sense because it's clearly well documented that they talk about children's abilities to learn and again, or as behaviors become more ingrained, how difficult it is to alter those behaviors. So I'm guessing the same thing would be true when it comes to our early intervention for therapy services with kids, is that they're going to learn better, they'll learn quicker, and you won't have to break as many habits as you would if you were getting them later in their development.
Correct.
So that's great because so it sounds like then we probably have a good number of over the years. We probably have a decent number of people who graduate the Kids on the Move program. Is that fair?
Yes.
Definitely, definitely. That's always our goal is to bring a child up to as high a level as they can functionally achieve,
Yeah.
and have them move on.
That's great. So the Kids on the Move program has gone through some pretty dramatic changes over the last few months. Up until recently, most of the visits that you all had with the kids were in a clinic setting, and now you're making most of your visits in a home setting. Something changed?
Something changed. Yes. We are now a fully owned program of Rutland Area Visiting Nurse Association. So all of our visits, well, I will say that most of our visits are done at children's homes or other environments. It might be if a child is at a daycare for a good part of their week, we can see the child at their daycare. We do continue to have a clinic space that we are renting down at the Vermont Achievement Center, but very, very, very few children are being seen there.
Okay. So, and for the record, Kids on the Move is not a program of the Vermont Achievement Center.
No, no.
It's really a part of Rutland now.
Correct. We have never been a program of Vermont Achievement Center. We've just
Shared building
rented space
space.
there. We've shared
Okay.
space there. Yes.
Okay. So, from your perspective, what do you see as the benefits of providing therapy services to kids in their homes?
Take that one.
It's really nice to be able to see a child in their home. In that way, we're able to access what their actual day is like, what they are familiar with and what they're comfortable with, and be able to shape that environment in such a way through teaching the parents. You know, if you do this a little bit differently, this is what we could achieve. You know, for example, if a child's trying to learn how to request for something, if everything they want is at eye level and they can reach it, they don't have to ask someone for it, so it eliminates a communication need.
Yes.
If I want to teach them to ask me for things and to communicate with me about what they're doing, then I'm going to put their favorite things up on the shelf where they have to ask me to get it down, and it creates an opportunity for them to communicate with me. And I can do that in their home. I can talk to the parent about how we can shape that environment to promote the communication for the particular skill that they are needing to learn. There are also challenges in seeing them at home. They are very comfortable, and thus if I have something that they don't want to do, then they can escape down the hall, and that can create a little bit of difficulty here and there. But we do try to find a happy place in between and help that family teach the child what they need to know.
Which again, I think that makes sense. I mean, obviously the advantage for the child in their home is that they know exactly where everything that they want is, and again, especially when I think about, although clearly I can see it in all the therapy disciplines, but if I'm at home, which if I'm a young kid, the likelihood is I may be spending a good deal of my time at home. By being able to develop the plan of care and develop the systems in the home where I'm going to be spending much of my time, I can maximize the opportunities for learning opportunities for,
Exactly.
especially with speech.
Exactly.
If I can do it on my own, then I don't have to practice sort of my speech. I can just do what I do. And I would guess the same thing is true in physical therapy as well. I mean, if I have stairs or whatever the physical environment is like that I'm supposed to be trying to master skills in, being able to provide that service directly in the environment in which it's happening is probably a good thing.
Correct. And the research really supports that children learn best in their natural environment.
Sure.
And it makes a lot of, in the clinic setting, we would have a parent come in and say, he's having a lot of difficulty climbing in and out of the bathtub. And we could try to replicate that, we would try to be creative, use a laundry basket and say, okay, let's pretend this is your bathtub, and we'll practice getting in and out of it. But in the home, you just practice in that, with that bathtub, or with the stairs that they're having trouble with, or climbing onto their bed. So and then they learn because they practice that skill.
In the environment.
In the environment that they learned it in.
Right. And again, I think, even though I think you said it earlier, I think it bears repeating, or at least maybe a little bit more elaboration, is when the caregivers or the parents can be involved and educated on how to continue the work that you do when you're not there. That just seems to me to be a very powerful part of the therapy process.
It's an essential part of the therapy process. We don't have the ability to spend all day working on a skill with the child. We have a limited amount of time that we can see each child, and that's that's limited by the fact that we have other children to see, and limited by what insurance will allow us to do. It's not our job to fix it. Our job is to teach the family either how to compensate for a problem, or how to teach the child that skill.
And again, to me, that just, I think about what kind of power there is in being able to be a part of the healing, part of the development process, the process of moving my child to independence. And that education and my ability to be involved in that must be, I bet your parents love it as well.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
That's great. Well, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming road race.
Sure.
First, so Vermont Sports Medicine is getting ready for a big fundraiser for Kids on the Move. It's actually the 19th annual race, is that right?
It's the 19th year that we've done the race.
Okay.
I think it's probably about the 15th or 16th year for Kids on the Move.
Oh, wow.
The first several years, the proceeds went to other organizations, and then with the creation of Kids on the Move, we decided it would pair well with what we do as therapists to donate to a similar cause.
So let's talk a little bit about the race. I mean, I'd love to be able to provide our viewers with some information about the race. So where is it? When is it? How long is it? How do people get involved?
Sure. It's April 30th, which is a Saturday.
Okay.
It's at Vermont Sports Medicine Center.
Okay.
We're located on 5 Albert Cree Drive, which is conveniently right next door to Ravna and Kids on the Move.
Yeah.
It's a 5K race, which is about 3 miles.
Yes.
Basically going down towards Perkins Avenue, up Curtis, Muzzy, and Hayward, back around.
So it's a loop?
It's a loop ending at the clinic.
That's great. And so 5K, is it limited to, is it a running race? Is it a running and walking race, or?
It's both. We have runners and we have walkers. People signed up to run are allowed to walk. If you're a registered walker, we do ask that you walk the race, because there are some competitive walkers that are out there doing it.
Absolutely. Okay. So, and how do people sign up?
They can sign up at our clinic at 5 Albert Cree Drive.
Okay.
They can go to our website at www.vsmc.org.
Okay.
And there's the link to the road race. There they can download a brochure, which is an entry form.
Oh, okay.
As well as a map of the race.
Great. Oh, good.
So.
And any age restrictions, or?
No.
Okay.
We have a kids fun run prior to the prior to the race.
Okay.
Which is generally about 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, or younger. It's just a really short little run.
Right.
And then we have all age groups from there up.
That's great. And so I can download the order form, and I think I have a. Is this the? This is the order form, right?
Yep.
So this is do I have to print it out and fill it out by pen, or can I fill it out online? Or?
No, it does have to be filled out, printed and filled out, and then either mailed in to us or delivered.
Okay.
Yeah, or people can stop by our office.
And
we have them
what's
available.
the deadline for applying?
You can apply up to the day of the race.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, so I could walk in a couple of hours before the race and and sign up?
You can. Our registration
Great.
race day starts at 8,
Okay.
and the race is at 10.
And there's a cost to enroll or no?
There is,
Okay.
because all the proceeds are going to Kids
All
on
right,
the
of course,
Move.
that makes sense. Right? Otherwise, we'd be a rather poor fundraiser.
Yes. So there is a cost based on age,
Okay.
and it's a little less expensive if you sign up ahead of time,
Oh, okay.
and a little more expensive the day of the race. Kids under 10 are $5,
Okay. Yeah.
both before and the day of.
Oh, that's great. Good.
10 to 17 are $10 pre-registered,
Mm-hmm.
15 the day of the race.
Okay.
And adults are 15 if they register ahead, or 20 the day of the race.
Okay, great. Wow, that's great. Now, what do you know? How many people ran it? Do you have a typical number of people who run the race? Or
We usually
participate?
about 170, 200. I think
Oh, that's great.
last year it was a great day.
It was a really nice
I think
day.
we were over 200, or maybe
Wow.
just about 200.
Good.
So we get a good turnout, from professional athletes to
Oh, yeah.
casual athletes
Absolutely.
to, I think, a lot of families.
With strollers.
Sure.
Yeah, you do see that a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
I've walked it a couple years with my daughter in a backpack.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's great.
It's a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So clearly we would want to hope for some good weather because I'm guessing it's a rain or shine event.
Rain, snow, or shine.
It has snowed.
And this year. But it is, we hope for good weather, and we've been very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
We've been very lucky. The last few years they've been great.
Well, again, it's really neat because for me, I mean, working at the VNA and having a largely geriatric population, and then over the last couple of years, there's been the addition of 2 children's-based programs that have really sort of broadened the spectrum of work that's done at RAVNA. When you're getting together and you're out in the Vermont fresh air and you're doing something to help kids out like the Kids on the Move program, it just seems to me to be how can you lose? That's like a sort of perfect day.
It is. And I think we get a similar sentiment from our sponsors and the businesses in the community who donate the prizes for the race. It seems as though anytime we say it's for Kids on the Move,
Yeah.
they're just like, not a problem, so.
Well, that's great. So great. Well, I mean, this sounds really exciting to me, and I know obviously it helps benefit the Kids on the Move program, which is a pretty unique program, is it not? Is it fair to say that Kids on the Move is somewhat unique?
Definitely. There isn't another program in a 60-mile radius that's similar to ours.
That's really wonderful. And again, I mean, it just seems that from the time that I was a kid to the time that my kids were kids, whether it's different reporting or better reporting or whatever, but it just seems that that there seemed to be much more awareness about developmental delays that might where a kid might benefit from access to a program like Kids on the Move, especially again in those early 0 to 3 years of age. And it just seems to me that with that education and that awareness, you guys are helping out just a whole bunch of people that, and again, I think the fact that kids do tend to graduate from the program is just a wonderful thing. And a wonderful fundraiser to help the program out. So what I'd like to do then is first thank all of you for being here today. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing information about the program and about the race. If you ever have any questions about programs at RAVNA, please call us at 775-0568. And if you want to learn more about the race on April 30th, you can log on to www.vsmc.org and download the brochure, or come right into Vermont Sports Medicine and enroll and register.
Sure.
Right up to the day of the event.
Sure, yep.
So thank you for joining us on Home Care Connection. I'm Harry Snyder, your host. See you next time.